Hello and welcome to Obsidian Council Boss Guides. My name is Zavaris and I'll be your host today as we go over Kalecgos. Kalecgos is more of a mechanically challenging fight more than anything else. There is a small DPS race here, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to make sure that everybody lives to the end of the boss, and that's what will lead us towards the most success. So as we're taking a look here, we can see that we have the circular room that encapsulates Kalecgos. Kalecgos will start off the boss fight in the center of the room. So let's plop down a nice little handy dandy skull here. There we go. Kalecgos is now in the center of the room. We'll be entering from the bottom half of the room here. So let's put a handy little arrow here. Change that on over to red for us. That'll be our entrance side there. What we'll be doing for the most part on typical progression pulls is going to have our tank run in through the entrance here, pick up our boss, and drag him towards the back of the room. Now we're going to want our tank to angle the boss sideways, so tail over to the left hand side, head over to the right hand side, and we'll mark over where we want our tank to be standing here. As that's happening, we want the rest of our DPS to head on into the room, with the melee standing as close as possible to the boss, but spreading out as best that you can. Remember that the Kalecgos is a dragon, so we don't want to be in the direct behind of it, or on the direct front of it, to avoid tail swipes and regular cleaves. We want to stay a little bit spread out to make sure that we're avoiding those portal damages being overlapping on top of everybody, and we'll get examples of that in a bit. Adding our healers in here, we're going to remember to spread them out equally. Remember, from PTR, we're going to be spreading into two different groups on two different halves of the room. That way, we can make sure that we are better prepared to enter the portals. And we're probably going to be running 7 total healers. Make sure those guys are spread out nicely for us. Next up, we'll add some more DPS. Now that we have all the DPS in there, and we have our new tanks in there, everybody should try their best to spread out as best they can. Remember, you're going to want to try to do a range 10 situation, but staying on your sides. We want our tanks to be more towards the middle, so that they have the ability to get towards the portals as fast as possible. To help us out visually, let's put on some new markers. Group A may have some more people selected to it that aren't necessarily within that sphere of influence, but that's more or less where we want people standing at the very beginning of the fight. We've got our groups set up and assigned on either half of the room to make it easier for everyone when portals go out. To reiterate our strategy, when a portal comes out, we're looking for Group A to go downstairs and immediately begin DPSing Sarthavar as fast as possible. We are hoping to grab Group A first because they're the ones who are most crunched up, and that should help us eliminate and alleviate some extra damage since Groups B and C should be able to spread more and allow for less spread damage when portals apply. Just a quick reminder for the tank rotation. We're going to have one tank go down first. Within 30 seconds, they will call out that they have 30 seconds left on their debuff. The next tank, Tank 2, who is not currently tanking the boss, will go downstairs to tank the boss. The first tank that went into the first portal will then relieve the tank who started the fight on Kalecgos. This tank who started on Kalecgos will then relieve the current tank who's downstairs by taking the very next portal. After the first portal is out and Group A goes downstairs and begins DPSing on the boss, the very next group that will go will depend on where the portal applies. If the portal applies to any person within the sphere of Group B, then that is the group that will go next. It will always be related to who is closest and who is most near. That way it'll help us move to the next group fastest. Now let's take a look at what it looks like for each of these groups of people as they interact with the portals going downstairs. Our first point of view is going to be from a warrior perspective. Let's take a look at what it looks like as a melee goes in to fight this boss and deals with the portal to go downstairs. The boss spawns in, DPS has begun. Please make sure that you're not popping any DPS cooldowns or 2-minute cooldowns or 3-minute cooldowns at this first stage. As we can see, the first portal went out right on melee, and it caused a lot of splash damage. The player in question spam clicks the portal and enters the portal and begins DPS on the boss. Next up, let's take a look at how this same fight would look from the perspective of ranged DPS. The boss is engaged as we would engage it and pull it to the back of the room. Make sure that you're taking care of your DPS here so that you don't overthreat the tank as he gets in position. As you can see, this particular DPS does a lot of melee weaving, so they're going to be overlapped quite a bit. Portal spawned behind this hunter and it knocked him forward, and it's now his turn to click on the portal and get in, and begin DPS immediately. Finally, let's take a look at this same interaction from a healer perspective. Again, like we will do, the particular tank will pull it to the back wall and make the boss sideways for us. Make sure that you're spread out appropriately. The first particular portal in this run went on melee, so they're going there. This particular priest will wait for a few portals to go out before he takes a portal. This is a great opportunity to look at what it looks like for the upper side when they're going through a boss encounter, instead of taking the first portal every time. As more and more groups are going downstairs, there'll be less and less healing on the upper side and more healing focused directly on the tank. Now the fourth group is out, and there will be even less people going up top. It'll be very quickly time for our priest to go downstairs. Getting some final heals out, and then clicking the portal to go downstairs. It's important to note that when downstairs, you don't necessarily need to be spread out anymore, and in fact we'll be looking for everyone to stack as well as they possibly can on the NPC Kalecgos once the tanks have established threat and have spun the boss away from Kalecgos. What this will allow us to do is to allow us to stack our healers more effectively and therefore generate more effective healing downstairs, allowing everybody to pump as well as they can to push the boss as fast as we possibly can. Once you have been downstairs for 1 minute, you will be forced back upstairs. Once you have been back upstairs, you will resume DPS on the main dragon boss Kalecgos. The goal here is for both bosses to die at roughly the same time. The reason for this is because once one boss reaches 10%, they will both enrage, causing way more damage than is necessary. So we will be doing as much damage as possible to kill the lower boss and the upper boss at near enough the same time. After groups A, B, and C have all made one rotation downstairs, Group A will once again be the first group to go in immediately after their debuff allows them to. They will do DPS to the bottom boss, Sarthavar, to do as much DPS as possible. We will call in either groups B or group C, depending on the need for the damage to be downstairs. We are at this point in time in the boss encounter trying to force both bosses to die at roughly the same time. We will on the fly call for either groups B or C to follow group A in order to accomplish this task. It's imperative that you stay in your designated group B or group C locations so that you can be better prepared to go towards the next portal. In the description of this video, I have linked Weagoras that will be mandatory for you to download and install. These will be helpful for us for helping determine who is and isn't upstairs or downstairs during the course of this boss encounter. Thank you for watching this very quick Kalecgos strategy guide. Good luck.
Oh, binding! Oh.
No fucking way.
Oh my god.
New strats, boys. New results.